Before we get into this week's breakdown with Tom Dwan and Phil Locke, we want to tell you a little bit about Nitrogen Sports Bitcoin Poker Room.
If you guys don't know what Bitcoin is, click right up there. We made a fun video about it. It has a lot of advantages for poker players.
One of the best is the fast and free transactions.
You said fast, right?
Yes.
It's like 10 minutes. That's how fast it is. You can take out $10,000 and have it in 10 minutes.
It's awesome. Also, if you want to get involved in free rolls and other cool giveaways, click the link below in the description.
Click that link.
The hand we're breaking down today features one of the best players in the world, Bryn Kenny.
Bryn Kenny might not share our style, but he sure is good at poker, and he's going to show you that today in this PCA hand.
One of the cool things about this hand is Bryn starts the hand with only 26 blinds when his opponents have around 100 blinds.
Yeah.
But he makes it work in a very cool way.
It's definitely a really cool hand. I would call it unique. It feels unique to me. And it was suggested to us on Twitter by Carl and Jeff DiNocento. If you have a suggestion for the breakdown, tweet it at us and include a YouTube link.
Now, is that Carl DiNocento and Jeff DiNocento? Because it sounds like
Carl and
brothers.
Jeff DiNocento may or may not be brothers. They didn't tell me. They suggested it separately, so I'm not sure.
What I'm saying is Jeff DiNocento and
we don't know
Carl.
that Carl's last name is DiNocento.
Right, that's what I'm
just assuming that it is.
That's all I'm saying.
Day 2 of the PCA main event. Blind 600, 1200 with a 100 ante.
Now's when the real poker starts.
Marcus Ross, King 10 offsuit under the gun. And that's a raise to 2,700. Pocket kings for Bryn Kenny.
Here you go. I'm going home.
No re-raise from Bryn, just a call.
Oh, that's slick.
Alex Klamashin has ace-jack in the hijack.
We got a real car crash developing here.
Again, no re-raise, just a call. Round to the blinds. Vlad Troinovsky in the small. Daniel Negreanu in the big.
He's calling. Wow.
Right down the date and time, people. Daniel Negreanu just folded a hand.
Pretty curious pre-flop play on all fronts, starting with Marcus Ross opening under the gun with King 10 offsuit. It just kind of, I don't like that. That seems like a bad play. We don't like that play. Yeah. We'll talk about Bryn in a second, and then Klamashin overcalling with the ace-jack, which somehow made James Hardigan surprised that Klamashin didn't 3-bet.
What?
How do you not 3-bet ace-jack there when under the gun opens and +1 with 26 blinds calls? Anyway, Bryn Kenny flats with kings +1 here with a very short stack. Tell him why he did it, Jonathan.
Well, he's got 26 blinds, and it's tough to get value with kings when you only have 26 blinds and you're +1 and under the gun just opened. If we 3-bet to any normal size, like 5x, 5.5x, something like that, we look super strong.
Right.
If we move in for 26 blinds, we're usually going to just chase away hands because only very strong value hands can call us. So Kenny decides to flat instead. He's also keeping in mind that Ross over here is the type of guy who's going to open really wide, even under the gun, as we can see.
That's kind of a key right there, because if Ross is a normal player who opens a normal under the gun range, we as Kenny would expect we can get a 3-bet shove called by a good amount of that range, making a 3-bet shove a far better play than a flat. But if Ross is truly a live wire, and it looks like he is by opening King 10 off here, flatting is probably a better way to get more money. Kenny's just in one of those spots that come up in poker sometimes where you are super strong, and it's kind of impossible to not show it with anything that you do, because flatting also looks strong.
It does look strong, but it still might induce a squeeze from someone behind us if we're Kenny. Maybe Kenny can have Queen Jack suited here.
Maybe.
Kenny claims later on he can have 2 7s here. So there might be some hands that you can squeeze and he would fold, but it does feel very, very strong when he's this short. I'd expect Kenny not to flat with like ace queen here.
Right, or 8-9 suited, hands like that. Those are just going in the muck. So you would think Kenny's range is really strong, but also that it's weird that he wouldn't move in on the under the gun razor. So it's really hard to range Kenny, which I guess is kind of cool. It's just kind of a rock and a hard place for Kenny, and flatting might be right because of Ross's reputation.
He probably wants to give Ross a chance to fire away at him a few times as well, which with kings, we can really withstand that.
The flop. Ace 7-7. Klamashin takes the lead.
Stupid flop for kings.
No continuation bet from Ross. Bryn Kenny checks.
No reason to play a huge pot with an overcard out there.
Klamashin checks behind. Turn for free. 10 of spades.
What do you think now, Ross? You like your pair? Because it's no good.
A Delayed c-bet coming. 5,600 into two opponents, both of whom have him beaten.
That's right. Bryn still has Clemashon to worry about behind him.
Kenny calls.
Don't see Clemashon folding top pair.
He calls as well. Still three-way as we go to the river.
Bryn knows he's boned.
9 of diamonds. This is a straighty, flushy paired board.
Pretty much the worst board ever for kings once you toss that ace in there.
Action's been checked to Bryn.
I think Bryn's only hope is that he can check and maybe pick off a bluff.
All in.
Wow, he shoves!
Okie doke.
I guess he's turning his hand into a bluff.
Hey, sometimes you gotta do that if you think you can get your opponent to fold a better one.
Clemashon folds the best hand!
Well done, Bryn.
And Ross folds as well.
You know, here's an advanced bluff right there.
I wasn't even watching, but good job, whatever you did. I don't know. Just went all in, random.
It's a good value. Nobody can fold ace.
Of course. You fold an ace.
No.
Yeah, of course. Ace jack.
Wow, he nailed it.
Holy moly, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Bryn Kenny, you are one cool dude because that was an amazing play, as well as then you call this guy's hand.
Right.
You're talking to Troyanovsky. This guy does an amazing Troyanovsky. Go ahead, give us the Troyanovsky.
Nobody will fold ace.
That was great.
Troyanovsky's over there throwing shade saying nobody's going to fold an ace. Of
Yeah.
course somebody's going to fold an ace. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense to fold an ace, and Bryn Kenny knows that, which is why he makes this play. We have to go back to the turn to figure out why Bryn Kenny would turn his kings into a bluff here.
Well, so originally Bryn Kenny's calling the turn to bluff catch, right? Ross bets. Kenny thinks, this guy doesn't have it. Partially because of the sizing Bryn says later on. But also Ross is just super wide, as we can see, with his ranges. And Bryn's like, kings are way too good here. So he calls, assuming that the other guy, Clemashon, is going to fold, and now Bryn can bluff catch the river.
Right.
But that's not what happens. Clemashon calls also, and there's only a few kinds of hands Clemashon can really have here.
Right, he can sometimes maybe have a flush draw, but that seems a lot less likely than just having an ace here. It seems like Clemashon would play an ace pretty much exactly this way, and Bryn Kenny obviously thinks that as well, so that's pretty impressive.
Clemashon's usually going to bet a flush draw on the flop when both guys check to him on an ace 7-7 board. It just makes a lot of sense. He's going to get so many folds if he just bets his, 6-5 of diamonds or something like that.
Sometimes maybe he could have a 7 as well. He might check that on the flop some of the time, maybe not all of the time.
He's probably going to try and get value, though, against the aces that might be out there.
He really probably is. Anyway, what Bryn Kenny does is change his plan, which is what the great players do. Because his plan turned from, I'm going to bluff catch against the crazy guy, to how can I win this hand? How can I represent a better hand than the hand I perceive my opponent to have?
Yeah, and so it's going to be tough, but then a really good card comes on the river to make it a little bit easier for Kenny anyway. The 9 of diamonds.
The 9 of diamonds. So Kenny can rep some flushes, although we don't think way too many flushes because he did flat under the gun +1 with a 26 big blind stack. So maybe king queen suited, maybe king jack suited, maybe queen jack suited. That's about it though, right?
Yeah, that's about it. What Bryn Kenny is more repping are actual full houses.
Yeah.
10's full. Believe it or not, ace is full. Since he can have kings, he can have aces, right? Although there's only one combo of it if you're Clemashon, right? We know that because we've got an ace in our hand.
But Kenny also knows that.
Yeah, that's right, because Kenny puts him on an ace. And of course, quad 7s.
Right. So that's 5 total combos of the pair type hands that are really big monsters. Plus, let's give him 3 combos of the flush draws.
Cool.
So that's not a ton of stuff, but what are the bluffs? That's the big thing. How can Kenny ever have a bluff here with this stack, the way the hand played out?
Right. You just don't think he's ever going to call the turn with a bluff once the 9 of diamonds comes in. It looks like Bryn Kenny's moving and trying to get called by a flush.
Yeah, it kind of
does. Or maybe
does.
heroed by an ace.
Right.
So I think this is a quick and actually easy fold for Clemashon with ace jack, and it looks pretty easy.
It does. It does. And it's not like Bryn Kenny played a worse ace like this pretty much on any of the streets.
Nah.
So we're not worried about getting bluffed by accident. That's not something Bryn Kenny would be doing here. Bryn Kenny is definitely repping a super strong range, but he does it really well, mostly because there's nothing on the other side except for when he's crazy elite and changes his plan mid-hand. That's really hard to figure out as Clemashon.
You know, here's an advanced bluff right there.
Yeah, most players are just going to check with Bryn Kenny's hand there, know they're probably losing, and figure that's that. And Kenny goes the step further, wins the hand, and then gets to turn the cards over, so maybe he'll get called next time when he really has it.
You know who wouldn't do this play? Troyanowski.
Troyanowski. What would he say?
He would say, I cannot make ace fold. I have to check. Yeah.
There it is. If you want to hear our responses to our favorite comments from you on this video, click right here.
You guys noticed this was called Elite Bluff, the sequel, right?
Yeah.
That means there's a part 1, and you probably need to watch it. I think you need to watch it.
I mean, otherwise you don't understand the characters and why they're doing what they're doing.
It's like, who's Han Solo? Is the guy just a jerk? I don't
need
understand.
the
You need the
backstory.
context. Anyway, click right up there to watch Elite Bluff.
If you want to hear us go into much, much more detail about Bryn Kenny's play in this hand, check out our podcast, which is called The Breakdown, and also make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.